The CCP is working with the cartels, working with Mexican government, who's working with the NGOs, who's funded by the U.S. government, who's funded by you and me. So I actually have a picture of a guy who's wearing all military clothes with a military backpack, and has a military build. He's bringing these groups across right through this area that I showed you and walking all the way into the U.S. and then telling these people where to go and circling back and then going back into Mexico. There are not very many people doing anything about this. So they're Mexican ID cards, but they're Chinese nationals. Here's money, go buy land near the military base and let us know when you see this one jet. What day does this one jet go out of here? That they just opened their jails and said go. Guatemalan national went into that house and molested the Navy SEAL's child, and we've never heard about it. I'm tired of watching these kids be trafficked through my backyard here. All of the three-letter agencies that I've spoken to don't know what to do with any of this stuff. When they got there, they were paid the $15,000 to release the kid, and they extracted the kid's left eye. Our government would want to know where that person is. So it has China, Iran, UAE, back to China, and then here. It was dropped at the border. Guess who owns that? It's right where the border wall ends.
Who? Before we start, I would like to tell you one thing. I believe YouTube is suppressing my YouTube channel just because of my content. So that's why I'm asking you for 3 simple things to do. Number 1, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. Number 2, tap the like button and leave a comment below. And number 3 is share this podcast with your friends, peers, and loved ones. That's all from me, and let's get back to the podcast. Okay, so let me properly introduce you, Cory. Cory Gautereaux, right? You're French.
I think you say it better than I do.
Gautereaux is an army veteran. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
With a diverse professional background, Cory began his career as a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter crew chief door gunner in the U.S. Army before serving as a respiratory therapist on the Rapid Response Team. After leaving healthcare, he has decided to follow his passion of helping people in a different way. His career reflects a steadfast commitment to public service and a passion for aiding vulnerable populations, particularly children. Cory brings a wealth of experience and dedication to his current role monitoring the southern border invasion over the past year. Mr. Gautereaux is a family man and a true patriot. He also owns a gun shop just where he lives, only a few miles from US and Mexican border. Cory is currently running the GOAT initiative, which mission is to combat human trafficking along the US-Mexico border through comprehensive intelligence gathering and strategic collaboration with local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies. TGI, or the GOAT initiative, is dedicated to protecting vulnerable communities by providing real-time intelligence to our law enforcement partners, dismantling trafficking networks, and advocating for necessary policy reforms. Through your collective efforts, you aim to create a future free from human trafficking and child exploitation. TGI focuses on developing cooperative relationships with public and private organizations to maximize your impact while steadfastly committing to human rights and dignity. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Cory,
to be fair, I didn't want to have to do any of that last part there, but we're here.
I figured that out already. So, this thing with the border is not the first year that is going on, right? So I would like to talk to you today with as less terms as possible, to speak in a way that the ordinary people like me would just understand you and acknowledge what is going on there at the US and Mexican border, okay?
Perfect.
So you live just a few miles from the border.
Correct.
What it is like?
I like it. I've lived in San Diego County almost my whole life, other than when I was in the service and in college. I love it here. I love being a border town.
Okay, so you moved here because of this thing for helping control the border?
No.
Or that was not the strategic move at all?
I moved away from the homeless problem in the city to get away from the homeless problem, and happened to show up right at the beginning of the illegal immigration problem. We've always had illegal immigration. This is not a new thing. Mm-hmm. The way in which it's occurring is new. So I knew that being a few miles from the border, we may have some stuff going on. But we weighed the options between the homeless problem versus having a few things a year happen in our area. So we moved out here. And it turns out that things are massively different.
So you're an army veteran, but you're not right now. You're just a civilian.
Yep.
Why do you do this?
There are not very many people doing anything about this. Somebody has to.
But you have no rights in doing this, right?
What do you mean?
You're not a border patrol. You're not a police officer. You're not a sheriff.
Correct. So I'm not detaining anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interrogating anybody. I'm asking people questions that when they come in, sometimes I'll ask them questions when I run into them along the border. They have they don't have to answer me, right?
What they do?
Most of the time they do. I'm very nice when I come upon these people.
Your look is very intimidating.
Yeah, I know. My wife says that too.
Your haircut,
Look, at the hospital, I was a critical care bear, okay? So I just live with that motto. Like, I'm just a nice guy. Maybe they talk to me because I'm scary looking, but I'm still going to be nice to them. So sometimes I'll give them water. If it's 100 degrees out right now. I think the part that separates me from a lot of people is that I'm still a humanitarian. I still don't want these people to die. Even if they're coming across, all these people came across illegally, some of these have to be here for nefarious reasons. So it's just a numbers game, right? But I'm not going to let a mom come across with a kid and succumb to dehydration.
Mm-hmm. So what do people still don't realize about the Mexican border? They see the news maybe on the media, on the internet. They see the posts, they see the videos. What do they still don't realize?
Let me flip it back to you. You just took a tour with me, right?
Yes.
What did you see that you did not realize before?
So I had no idea how the border looks like at all. So what I saw is a fence, 20 feet fence.
Some 40, 20, 15, I think, in some spots.
Yeah.
It's different depending upon the terrain.
But there are places where it just ends.
Wait, what?
It ends like physically. And you can...
Say that again.
You get on a rock, you jump over the fence, which is none at some kind of, and you end up being in the U.S.
And then you also saw people guarding the border, right?
Yes.
Who was that?
Yeah, but that was border. You mean from the Mexico or from the U.S. part?
Yeah.
From the U.S. part, we saw a few SUVs. They were just sitting there, just patrolling. Mm-hmm. But as far as I understand, they have no rights to do anything, right? They don't have the green light to act.
If you talk to the guys, they will tell you that they still have a right to, they still have the authority to stop people from coming across right at the fence. Mm-hmm. But once they get onto U.S. soil, then they're seeking asylum, so they have to process them as asylum seekers. But what I was asking you about was those white tents that you saw, where the fence ends. Wasn't that interesting?
It's like from a movie. If I saw that in a movie, I was like, "There's no way that the screenplay is shit. Make a new one. That's BS. That can't be that."
That's why it's hard to explain this to people, right? Because it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense
until you see it with your own eyes.
Yes.
So those white tents, that was the Mexican National Guard, and they are quite literally protecting the border, but from the inside of the border,
yes,
the Mexican side, they're keeping people from coming across. But you didn't see any of our National Guard, did you?
And if you take 20 feet to the right, you just climb on a rock, you jump over the fence, and you're in the U.S.
Yes.
And at the same time, though, they had those tents, and they were washing their clothes with their hands, with a stick.
Yes.
That's 2024.
Yeah.
How is it freaking possible?
I mean, they are in the middle of nowhere. So there's very little power. They have generators, but they don't have washing machines and stuff like that. So.
But why do they have to wash their own clothes? They don't work there for months, right? They go home.
No, they do. They are deployed from whatever unit they came from in Mexico, like central Mexico, and they get deployed out here. So this last group that was out here was here for 3 or 4 months.
They live nonstop in that tent 3-4 months? Mm-hmm. The nearest city is how many miles away?
For them, Oh, it probably takes an hour just to get off that dirt road where they're at. So probably another 30, 45 minutes to an actual city, what you and I would call a city.
So just like we talked while we were driving, you have two options to cross the Mexico and US border, right? You can jump or climb over the fence. And once you step your foot on the US soil, you can say that you seek an asylum and you're going to get to the detention center, right?
Correct.
And the other way is to get kind of legally to seek asylum, but to go through those special places where they're going to get you in. And you're going to get to the detention center as well, right? Because the Russians, Ukrainians do so.
So actually, I have some. I'm in a chat. I'm in a lot of different chats, but I'm in a Telegram chat with. I have a Russian one and a Ukrainian one, and they have the coordinates to where the fence ends that you just saw two places today. So the coordinates are in there.
So they just climb over?
They walk around.
They walk around and that's it.
Yeah.
That's the wall. That's the protection.
Yep.
Okay. What's this wall? And what is this on our table?
This is most of the stuff that we found. A lot of these IDs, the white ones here, are Chinese. So they're Mexican ID cards, but they're Chinese nationals on the ID cards. And we spoke about it earlier where that's kind of confusing. Here's one right here. Here's one. So it's kind of confusing, but if you are, or if someone came to this country with, let's say their I-94, their green card.
Yes.
Okay, well, you can go to the DMV and you can get an ID card.
Yes.
Or a driver's license.
Yes.
So this is similar, but in a way it's similar where they went to some Mexican government building and got a Mexican, this is a visitante, so a visitor card. So let's say they get pulled over, they get stopped by police, they have some kind of identification.
And they get away with this.
And so this says, so the reason it says, por razones humanitarian. So this guy came here to be a humanitarian from China. I'm sure you're aware of all the humanitarians coming from China to Mexico.
But if they come to Mexico, but why don't they stay there?
Because he's not a humanitarian. He came to the U.S. That's why we found this along the border.
And I've seen on these walls like dozens of them.
Oh, yeah.
Mexican IDs.
Boxes full of them.
Mexican IDs with the Chinese people.
Yeah. And then sometimes we actually find Chinese ones.
Why do they throw it away?
That's been quite the question lately. Why do they throw it away or burn them? We have one over here that's burned, right? And some of them are cut up, and like you get a new credit card and you cut up your old one, right?
Yes.
Similar. So if you come to this country and claim asylum, if you have no paperwork or any documents that show you went through any other countries, then you can claim asylum. If you have travel documents, this is what the government calls travel documents, which these are, we're going to say, well, why didn't you claim asylum in Ecuador or Mexico or Guatemala or
the neighboring country?
Yeah, and so they just eliminate that question by getting rid of their IDs.
What's your explanation? Why do they come here?
The American dream.
Really?
No, because we're giving away a bunch of free stuff. The NGOs we are funding the NGOs. The NGOs have a massive welcome mat out.
Explain to people, what is an NGO? We hear it all the time. NGOs.
NGO is a non-government organization. So, Catholic Charities is one. Jewish Family Services is another one. There's Ocho Lago. There's so many of them. Basically, it's let's say the government funded my nonprofit, then I would be an NGO. So the government's paying me to do their job because they're outsourcing it.
Yes.
In this case, I compare it to in Iraq. We hired Blackwater to do a lot of stuff that may have been a little sketchy that we didn't really want to do. So you hired someone else to do it. We're doing the same thing.
It's not the U.S. government that does that.
No.
That's private company.
Plausible deniability. They're just funding it. So they get to say, well, it wasn't us. We didn't do it. We told them to do it. What do you mean they're trafficking children? Well, we don't see anything.
So once they climbed the fence, once they got into the U.S. soil, the NGOs come with the vans and they take them. Where do they take them?
Not necessarily. So I have seen that before. I've also seen the NGOs communicating with the South, which to me is treasonous. But even if we don't go to that level, it still should be very illegal too.
You mean NGOs communicating with Mexico?
Yeah, colluding with Mexico and or colluding with whoever's on the South Side moving these people. We could probably assume it's the cartel, since they operate. You can't operate down there without going through them.
Border problems were always here, right? But when you really felt it?
It was about 13 months ago now.
13 months ago only?
Yeah.
What has changed?
So the reason I know that is there was a Facebook post on the neighborhood Facebook page that said there's a large group of Chinese people walking down the freeway. Now, you've driven around this area with me. Does it look like there's a lot of Chinese people that live out here? No. So, and you were on the freeway with me. So I was like, that's weird. So I got my truck. I drove down the freeway. There was a large group of Chinese people walking down the freeway. I'm like, what the? Imagine you would do the same, right? Like even in your neighborhood up there. What is going on? And then I saw the Border Patrol, and they looked more confused than me. And that's kind of when everything started for me. So I just started paying more attention. And then I went out there one day and I found bags of this stuff. And like, what is going on? It took probably 10, 11 months for me to finally put the pieces together to try and figure out what is going on. And it's just insane.
So when people say the border is open, what does it actually mean?
Well, people say, we've heard both, right? Borders closed, the borders open.
Yes.
They're both true, depending upon who you are.
Yes.
It's closed. You saw the fence. It's closed. But it's open because we're not stopping people from going around the wall or the fence. And we're not stopping people from climbing over the fence. I have a video I posted recently. They climbed over right in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
And the Border Patrol was sitting up on the hill. And they waited till they came across and then pulled up and told them to get in. So it's open if you go through the treacherous terrain and climb over the fence or go around the fence.
But what do you think happens next to those people? Let's take Chinese, right? So they go across the globe to Mexico, then they go to the U.S. and they keep silent. So you have those rapes, murders, everything that do the illegal immigrants do, but they're not Chinese. Chinese keeps silent. Why? Why do you think? What do you think they're waiting for? Just for the call to act?
No, I don't think so. I think the Chinese are here for the long game. So I don't think that's a theory that a lot of people have, that there's sleeper cells, which there may very well be. I personally don't think they're Chinese sleeper cell actors in this group of people, at least. I think these people are financed by the CCP. Some of them are financed by the CCP. Some of them somehow got out of China.
Uh-huh.
But the ones that are financed through the CCP, I think they are asked to do a certain job, like go buy the land. Here's money. Go buy land near the military base and let us know when you see this one jet. What day does this one jet go out of here? But if you have a massive network of that, of intelligence, you can compile all that intel and that data and come up with a bigger plan many years from now. So during World War II, before World War II in Pearl Harbor, the Japanese did the same thing. A dentist did the same exact thing. All he did was report back to Japan on just little monotonous things that you wouldn't think are harmful.
But once you get the whole picture.
Once you have a lot of people doing it, you put the pieces together.
But if a Chinese comes here to the US and after 6 months he buys a piece of land, no one's asking, where does the money come from?
There's a whole line of people that are just getting paid, all the way down to the real estate agent. We're selling ourselves out.
Just for the money?
Yeah.
That's cheap. It's only money.
But if you are in Utah, you may not be thinking that, right? Because this problem, I've been preaching this for a year now. This problem is not. I could sit in this house and not be worried about anything because they're not staying here.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to where you live, which is not here.
LA?
Everywhere. San Gabriel, one of the massive hubs for Chinese. How far is that from you?
Explain me this. So Chinese come here and leave when they turn 18.
So,
then they come back to China. So what's the point of them coming back to China?
Wouldn't that be the perfect spy?
For 18 years?
So you learn how to be an American for 18 years. You go through all of the schools. You learn about everything. You can speak fluent English.
You become an American citizen.
Become an American citizen. And then you go back and work for the CCP again. And now you can blend in as an American.
How do they convince these people to, once they turn 18 to 20 years old, to come back to China, communist China, when you can live here, the land of the free?
True. But let's say only 50% of them come back. Let's say only 10% of them come back. They still have people that are now Americans. They're 100% Americans, and they know how to be Americans, and they go back. Maybe they get a bunch of money. Maybe they make them a general. Who knows what it is, right? But they go back, and now they can come back again and get a job with the NSA.
Yes, they can get into the office. Local. But there are
because
lots
the
of
NSA
them.
is going to go, wait, you speak Mandarin?
That's amazing.
We need that. I don't know why no one's looking.
How would you categorize the illegal immigrants? So Chinese, then there are obviously Russians and the Ukrainians because they flee because of the war. Then you've got lots of Ecuadorians, Cubans, from Honduras, from Latin America or South America.
Central South America, yep. So back to what you said, the Chinese aren't, you don't really hear about them. They're silent for the most part. But we do hear a lot about South Central Americans. So what I've been saying for a year now is that the crime in cities, the cities that these people are going to, the South Central Americans, is going to rise. We've already been seeing that. We just heard a whole apartment complex in Colorado is basically overtaken by them. So
how is this possible in the United States of America in 2024?
Nobody's looking.
And they don't do shit at the moment, right?
No.
So their governor is dancing, and he does nothing.
So there's high interest. I believe it's called high interest aliens from certain countries, like Turkey's one of them. But how high interest can it be when I have all these on the wall and nobody's ever asked me? I mean, I've been all over the news now. I'm not hard to find. So
hear me out. So if I reign a country, or if I rule the state, I'm a governor. If I am a small town mayor, if Venezuelans, Ecuadorians, Russians, doesn't matter, occupy like the Venezuelans did in Aurora, Colorado, 5 minutes and the SWAT is there. In 5 minutes, in 7 minutes, it's getting solved right away. The news don't even get the time to report. But why it's not being done like that?
I think that depends what city you're in, right? If you were in El Cajon with Bill Wells as mayor and the police chief Moulton there and their SWAT team, that would be squashed immediately. Maybe you go to a blue city. That's what I would do. They welcome me there. Well, not me. Them.
They overrun the area. The Americans, your people, your people that pay taxes, that have families here.
For some reason, we believe that these people have more rights than we do. For some reason. Now, that doesn't go to say that maybe there are some people in there that need asylum. Maybe. Should we help them? Yeah. We're a prosperous country. We should help people. To this extent, absolutely not. And then it goes back to the NGOs putting out the red carpet for these people. What they're not explaining is the trek that they have to go through to get here. So through the Darien Gap or Many people have died through there in the jungle. Many people have died in the desert right out here. They're not explaining everything that they have to go through to get here. There's a piece of paper right over there by you, that 8.5 by 11 right there. That's instructions in Spanish on what to do when you get here. It says, don't talk to the Border Patrol. Those are the different camps that in bullet points there that I took you to today.
Moon Valley, Willows.
So we're giving them instructions on what to do, but we're saying don't talk to law enforcement. They could be mean. My tax dollars are paying for that, for a lawyer to draw that document up. And I'm sick of it.
I believe that's called treason. When you act against your own people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you're a government official or an NGO. Why do you think...
Right now, it's the same thing.
Why do you think they're so violent from Central America, Latin America? You've got this green ticket, green light to come to the best country in the world, right? Live there, work there, pay taxes, have family, that's it. You're here to stay for the rest of your life.
Quite literally, just shut up and be happy, right?
Don't kill, don't rape, don't murder.
There's a theory that's been going around, I think it's been confirmed at this point, that they just opened their jails and said, go. And it would make sense. That's why we're seeing that, because you don't hear about the Chinese people doing it.
Yes. But even then, so you're imprisoned in Venezuela, for instance, right? They tell you you're free to go. You're free to go to the United States of America. You can do whatever you want. You come to the US and you murder, you rape, you kill.
It's probably gang mentality. Nothing. They didn't get rehabilitated. Nothing changed. Their line of thinking didn't change. They just got a green light to a new country where they can keep doing the same stuff that they were incarcerated for previously. And it's probably all, I would imagine, between 20 and 40-year-old males that are doing most of these crimes.
So California is a sanctuary state. So is New York and a few others, right?
Yes.
What does it mean to be a sanctuary state, especially being a sanctuary city like Los Angeles?
So it's great. This is a great conversation. And the last gentleman that you had on talked about sanctuary state as well. So basically the law enforcement can't talk to anyone about their immigration status, which is also insane.
That's prohibited.
Correct. They will get in trouble if they do. This is our country. I don't understand. I think that needs to be repealed immediately. And here's why. There's many reasons why. Here's why. We had a child molestation, it was probably 6 months ago now, in Linda Vista. This was on base housing, so naval base housing, where this occurred. It was a Navy SEAL's child. Have you heard about this story?
No.
Do you know why? Because we're a sanctuary state.
They tried to cover it
A
up.
Guatemalan national went into that house and molested the Navy SEAL's child. And we've never heard about it.
Mm.
So I've been asked by two separate people, high-level DHS employees, if I would leak this story, because they're so fed up with this California sanctuary bullshit stuff. So when this happened, they took the guy to San Diego County Jail. When they took him to jail, ICE did a detainer to go pick him, to go nab him. They denied it because we're a sanctuary state in a sanctuary city. So ICE came back again and said, well, we need to come interview the guy. So they let him in to interview. What they found was a bunch of child pornography inside his phone. And they had to bring ICAC in, which is Internet Crimes Against Children, to go through the phone, to look at all this stuff, horrific things in the phone. Still never heard about the guy. He's a Guatemalan national here with a fake green card, which probably means he was a gotaway at some point. Maybe not in this most recent batch, the last year or so, but he's been here. He committed a crime against a Navy SEAL's child, and nobody's ever heard of it. Now, is it technically covering it up if it's the law to not release it? No. Is this immigration problem, illegal immigration problem, technically illegal if we're allowing it?
No.
So these are these little, real thin lines that they're skating along of what's legal and what's not. I imagine the Navy SEALs would be pretty upset if they found out.
It doesn't matter whether it's a Navy SEAL or not, just regular people. You never touch a child.
How about on base housing? Yes, obviously you never touch a child, but on base housing and then a SEAL's child and no one's heard about it? So I asked some of my SEAL friends. They've never heard about it. Even the command is keeping this quiet. They work for the federal government, not the state. Why don't they tell the state to go F off?
Why?
I don't know. Probably don't want to piss off a bunch of Navy SEALs. Maybe that's why.
So I get this news every freaking day on X, on Twitter. So a 12-year-old girl was raped by 5 foreigners while returning from school in Belgium. Another story. This British girl's name is Holly Newton. Holly was 15 years old. She was successful in school and loved gymnastics. One day, 17-year-old boy in England raped her and killed her. Another story. A 13-year-old boy was stabbed to death in Birmingham last night. Another story. Breaking news. A disabled man in a wheelchair was stabbed to death by a foreigner in London yesterday. Another story. Unbelievable. A group of 50 African immigrants brutally attacked a 15-year-old British schoolgirl. Every day. Stabbings, killings, rapings, every freaking day in Europe. That's what you want to have here in the US? Well, it seems like it.
The rebuttal to that, excuse me, that we hear a lot is, well, that happens. Americans do that too.
Yeah, but they're here legally. They're citizens.
Oh, but yeah,
they're supposed to be here.
But Americans do that, so it's okay. That's the dumbest argument I've ever heard. So I will agree with them. Americans do those things.
Of course.
So as soon as we can stop all that, then let's let all the illegals in. But until we can, shut the border down.
So I was arguing with this guy. So he told me he's not gonna support Trump because Trump told that he's gonna deport all the illegal immigrants. I was like, so what's that bad about that? So there are lots of illegal immigrants that are just seeking for the asylum and etc. I was like, yeah, but there are some illegal aliens, immigrants that, for instance, killed Lake and Riley, right? Or the other girl, the mom of 4 in I want to say in Arizona. Or raped a 12-year-old for 2 hours in the park. So what? I'm telling him the story. So in the first place, they were not supposed to be here. They were just not supposed to be in this country.
Every one of those crimes was preventable.
Yes. They were just not supposed to be in this country. Those rapists and murderers were not supposed to be in the country of the United States of America. That's it. Yeah. American citizen would be alive. Lincoln Riley would be alive right now. She was only 20 to 21 years old. She was a medical student.
And now we hear about it every single day.
Every single day.
But then the second part of that, for that gentleman that you were talking to, what he fails to understand is when we roll out the red carpet to tell these people that it's come across, now's the time to come. These women and children are being raped the whole way through. We find birth control out there. Use condoms. There's these things called rape trees, which I forgot to take you by. Lucky you, I guess. Mm-hmm. There's these trees that are filled with, underwear, bras, and they're used as like a prize for the people that are smuggling these women across. They rape them, take their underwear, bras, throw it up in the tree. And they're all across the southwest border. That's another, so we can't say that we're being great stewards of humanitarianism when we fail to look at the part where these people that are coming through multiple countries are just getting raped and molested all along the way.
But what kind of people those are? They're just fucking animals.
Yeah. They need to be
raping is
those people that are perpetrating those acts everywhere should be eradicated.
And you have a trophy, like a underwear,
Yeah.
on a tree. You're proud of this? You're a fucking animal. You're not a part of society. That's it. You can't be a part of the society.
But somehow it's very easy for the left to overlook that part. We're just helping everybody.
They just don't think that they can get to their own kids. They just think that their kids live under this big dome or something, or a huge
I
wall.
think that's what they want.
But that's impossible.
Yeah.
What about the kids? How many kids do we have missing officially?
I don't know the exact official number. It's close to 500,000 right now. But just that statement alone is, what about the kids? How are they? Or how many are missing? Why do we have any missing? It seems like we took better records at Ellis Island than we do now. Maybe we should go back to pencil and paper. I don't know why we have any missing children. So, well, that's not true. I do know why we have missing children. We stopped DNA testing at the border. The Biden administration didn't renew the program that allowed us to DNA test. Let's say I'm the father, you're the child. They would do a mouth swab in both of us. They'd put it in their machine, whatever they did, and go, okay, you guys have familiar or similar DNA. Probably related. That took away a lot of doubt into the relation of the person and the child. We don't do that anymore. At the time, 30% of those, there was no match. So 3 out of 10. Now, I imagine the cartel's smart enough to know that we don't do that anymore. So I doubt the number went down. And by what I've seen, I can say the number's gone up. Those Mexican officials that we spoke to today, they have told me, not those ones because those were new ones, but the old ones told me, or in my team, that they have a child and an adult that have come up to them, and this has happened multiple times. They don't speak the same languages, the kid and the adult.
And they're telling you they're related.
Yeah. They've also told us that when the smugglers tell them to watch out for the National Guard or the military, the army, so they usually disperse when they get to them. So they've told us that when they get up to them, the so-called parents will run across, and then there'll just be a bunch of children that they have to deal with. Would you do that with your child?
Yeah.
Not if it was your child.
So you want to tell me that cartel kidnaps children, takes it to the border, and takes it to the U.S.?
I think it is much more complicated than that. We can kind of break it down to that, but I don't know how many kids are coming out of Mexico. I know that a larger number of them are coming from Central and South America. The movie, what's the movie?
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom. How they kind of explain to the kids that, or the parents, that we're going to make your kid a star, right? And then they take the kid and they bring the kid all the way through. I think that's more along the lines of what's happening. You go into these towns, these poor towns, talk to these families, and it's probably pretty easy to coax the family into letting them have their kid, and then the kid ends up here. I have a box. This whole box is filled with children's
IDs?
cards. Yes. So I have one in here. Her name's Ashley. She's 5 years old. You have a 5-year-old, right?
Yes.
So, she's a 5-year-old little girl, and we found her passport out here. And
From what country?
Colombia.
Ashley.
Ashly.
Oh, okay.
And she's got like 6 names after that, right? We found her passport out here, and my team somehow got in contact with someone who had a contact somewhere in Bogota, and it turns out that Ashley was never supposed to leave Bogota.
Kidnapped. Okay, so if you have 500,000 children missing, so they're here in the US, some part of it maybe work for a dime an hour, right? But you want to tell me that the other part is basically sexually exploited. So you want to tell me that there are enough pedophiles here in the US to exploit all those children? Dozens of thousands of children?
Isn't that horrible?
That's beyond horrible.
I mean, you could just pull up the Megan's Law thing website and see how many there are, and it's absolutely disgusting.
You mean the website when you can see the child molesters in your neighborhood?
Yeah, everywhere. They're everywhere, and those are only the ones we've caught, right? I mean, I follow those guys on Instagram that go out and catch them themselves, and you know, there's so many of them that there's so many accounts of guys that can go do that it's just never ending.
It's like never ending.
And the best part for the cartel or whoever owns the children is that it's not a drug. You don't snort it or ingest it, or you can keep making money off that child multiple times a day, which is sickening.
So do you think the left opened the border just to get the votes? That's it? That's their main purpose? They're just letting in 15 million immigrants just to get them vote Democrat?
Again, these topics are so deep and so when we say the left, the elite left, yes. The left that are the college kids that are voting,
They have no idea.
no, I think they think that they're helping these people. But if I took them out there tonight and showed them what these people go through, would they probably change their mind? I bet they would, but they'd never come with me. I've invited a lot of them. That's the part that sucks. Is only people that see things similar to me. Those are the only people that'll go out there with me. The only one who was blue, who's now red, is Tulsi.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it was very eye-opening for her. We didn't really see much today. I just showed you the spots where the fence ends and how the fence is built and where the concertina wires cut, how they come in those areas. When Tulsi was out here, we saw probably a group of 200 with one Border Patrol agent standing there.
In the span of what, a few hours?
She was on the ground for probably 26 hours total. And we went from here all the way to downtown San Diego to see the fentanyl crisis in Logan Heights. And I mean, we took the border the whole way there. So she saw the NGO networks. She went to the airport and saw the NGOs operating in the airport. She had already converted from Democrat to Republican at the time, but that's the most left person that's ever gone with me. I feel like I know it might look scary, but I'm pretty easy to get along with. In my store, we have people that come in, and I can, my business partner, bald with a beard too, right? And people will come in that don't have the same ideas as us. And our FedEx girl, for example, she's black, she's a lesbian. We're probably this far apart, according to the news, right?
Yes.
Well, you know what's weird? When you talk to somebody, you're like this far apart.
Yeah. But the media portrays that you hate each other. You have to hate each other.
She messaged me. Hope it doesn't get her in trouble. She messaged me about she applied with Border Patrol after talking to Gary and I for the last 6 months that she's been our FedEx person. She wants to do something else with her life.
What's that? So this is the instruction that you found.
Your friend Nick Wilson found that.
Tell me about it.
It is it's called let me see, what does it say? Oh, thank you. This is a de-arrest, which is, I didn't know what that meant. And there's some other words in here that I didn't know what they meant, but they're legal words. I don't remember if Nick said them or not. But basically this document talks about how to get away from Border Patrol and the way that this reads is it's very legalese, but it's dumbed down a lot. There's still some big words in here that you go, okay, well, a lawyer wrote this. Now, I'd like to know the lawyer that wrote this because he's probably being funded by us, the taxpayers. So this talks about how to get out of cuffs, how to flex cuffs or cobra cuffs, zip ties.
How to rescue a friend, a
Yeah.
peer.
It says something else to consider is how identifiable are you or the person you plan to de-arrest are. Now, de-arrest, who says that, right?
Yes.
So I guess that means how identifiable you or the person you plan to get out of the cop car because they've been arrested, which I don't think you can do that.
So a lot of people are talking about the anarchy, right? The anarchy is when there is no police and people govern themselves. So there's Michael Malice, he's all for the anarchy. He says that people can govern themselves. I hope we will never find out whether we can or not. But if we take another stance, there's an anarchy right now. You have no idea who's the president now, right? Who is the president of the US? Where is he?
It's on a beach.
He's on the beach for the second week in a row, right? That's a dream job. Prior to that, a month ago, that was a coup. He was replaced, basically. No one voted for the new candidate. And the candidate for the VP that has been chosen is the most radical left extremist you can only find on this soil.
I just like the part where she put all these people in jail who smoked weed, and then she goes and talks about smoking weed.
Yes.
Right? Like,
It's like a spit in the face.
how can you do that? I imagine if a judge did something like that, they might have to go look at those cases again.
Yes.
I mean, and you talk about anarchy, or this is the exact opposite, but you almost had that 2 days ago.
With the school bus.
Yeah.
Tell the story, but I believe not a lot of people heard about it.
So this one of the girls that helps with at my store, she lives in Hamul, and I grew up kind of in that area. So one of her friends sent her a message that morning about a school bus, and the message is very bland. It doesn't give any details. It only says 20 people attempted to stop a school bus, not 20 illegal aliens, because apparently schools can't talk about that either. I don't know. If I was the superintendent, I would have said exactly what happened because I would want the parents to know.
Yes.
So, long story short, the school bus is going to pick up the kids, and if I remember correctly, it was 2 separate stops where there were illegal aliens, and they attempted to get on the bus, and at one stop, the parents had to stop them from getting on the bus. Luckily, there were parents there.
Mm.
And then the school's response was kind of a knee-jerk response without thinking, because it didn't sound good at all. If the bus driver is pulling up to a bus stop and there are illegal aliens there, he's to keep driving. Screw your kids, right?
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying it's a bus driver's job to do that.
But that's instruction.
That's the instructions.
What do you think they wanted to do with those kids?
So
20 illegal immigrants.
I've had people ask me this question, and could it have been nefarious? Yes. Could it have been them getting instructions when you come across, go look for the buses? That could have very well been. I would like to believe that was the case, because they do get picked up by buses or vans and then taken to the Border Patrol station and processed. Either way, it doesn't matter. If they're trying to get on buses with schools, we need to do something. Now, like we talked about in the car during COVID, a lot of the mothers were very outspoken. And I'm friends with a lot of them here that were very outspoken. And at the time, the dads were like, yeah, sounds good, right? We're at the point where now the dads we're over it. We're not going to let illegal aliens infiltrate our school buses at bus stops. So now you're affecting the the family core, the family as a whole. Now dad's got to take work off to sit at a school bus to keep his children protected. Well, pretty soon you're going to not have a school because no kids are going to be going there.
Yes. It's not safe.
Because they're going to pool their money. They're going to go to private schools. They're going to, if I got 10 of my neighbors and paid $10,000 a year, we could pay a teacher $100,000 to teach our kids with 10 students. They should be doing that everywhere. Get rid of the schools at this point. They're not there to protect or educate your kids. They are there to indoctrinate your kids with bullshit. Until they can figure out how not to do that and just teach, pull the money. That's the source of this problem and the solution to this problem. Stop funding it and follow the money.
But people will say that doesn't work. But this is not true. It does work. So a few years ago, Target did this horrendous stuff with the kids' clothes, right? Mm-hmm. Parents said enough is enough. Stocks plummeted. Disney Plus, the same thing. People don't go with their children to see their shitty movies. That's it.
Tractor Supply.
Yes.
You want to talk about a Carhartt, Tractor Supply. What are you doing?
Yes.
Every farmer wears your stuff and goes to your store, but you're going to bow down and cater to the less than 1% of people that shop at your store?
Or Harley Davidson, right?
The
most American brand of all.
It's beyond me that they hire these people. Stop hiring these people. You don't have to hire anyone. You have the right to refuse service, right? And yes. You have the right to not hire idiots. Stop giving them jobs.
The same thing with Bud Light.
Yeah. And so that goes back to follow the money, right? And stop funding things. Stop funding these woke college kids and getting them jobs in your company so they can infiltrate your company and make these stupid policies that you have to turn back on and spend millions of dollars and lose millions of dollars. And then see where the money's going. Seems simple to me because I've already done it. And I'm just some guy who lives out here.
And you're not alone.
No, that should be scary. Not for you and me,
but for them.
For them, the people funding it.
Just stop doing this. Stop doing this indoctrinating movies.
You're waking people up that we're fine to just be left alone.
Work, pay taxes.
Just leave us alone.
Yes.
Simple.
So we were supposed to do this podcast at my place, but you sent me a message on Wednesday, right? You sent me a photo. There was a trash bin full of baby bottles. How do you process this? What is that? And where was the photo taken?
It was probably about 10 miles from here, more east, an abandoned house. We also found, or my team also found syringes.
What is that?
Syringes, like drug paraphernalia. I mean, I guess they could have been diabetic, right? That's what they would probably say. But this area has been very, very hot for a while now. I know Border Patrol's monitoring it. I don't know how much they're doing. We saw some today in that area in the daytime, though. So there's not much going on in the daytime right now. It's 100 degrees out there. So it just keeps happening, and the children that are coming across, and we're not DNA testing them. And I mean, we've seen children that mom and dad are as black as that TV, and the kid looks like you or me. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I don't think that works like that.
You're being racist. Don't forget.
Of course.
You're a racist.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only go-to, right? That we're racist.
That's the only card that they play.
And I'm waiting for I'm waiting for the Congress members to say that to me on Friday, that I'm just racist, right? But when I was working as a respiratory therapist and saving hundreds, if not thousands, of people through CPR and other means, I'm pretty sure I didn't once look at the color of their fucking skin. I just did my job because I don't care. Now, I'll make fun of anybody and everybody. I was in the military. We're great at making fun of people. We're great at jokes, right? I don't care. I also don't care. If you fall down, I'm going to help you. I don't care what color you are. Now, if you're the people funding this, that might be different. But back to the children, sorry. I'm tired of watching these kids be trafficked through my backyard here. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of people turning their heads and not looking at it. It's happening. I think Tim Tebow went before Congress not too long ago, and I was watching his testimony, and I think he said there were 50,000 kids. And then Tara Rodas went, and she talked about 300,000, I think. It's not getting better. Those numbers should be going down. We have the most powerful country in the world, but we're losing children. That's not acceptable.
But the children that are being smugged in here illegally and everything that they are going through, like raped, maybe some labor, cheap labor, free labor, and etc., they're going to grow up not as regular people.
No.
They're going to grow up damaged mentally. They will never fix this.
No.
It's like the PTSD, the ones that came from Vietnam. They could never assimilate. What they've seen with their own eyes, it's like you will never forget this. So I watched this movie Apocalypse Now 2 years ago only for the first time in my life. Have you seen the movie? You've never seen the movie Apocalypse Now?
We should put it on.
This is a masterpiece. You just watch it. If the audience didn't see this movie, watch the movie.
I haven't watched very many movies in the last years. It's just everything that's going on seems like a movie to me at this point.
A bad movie.
Oh,
a horror movie.
Yes.
So in that movie, the Vietnam War, obviously, and one of the main characters says, with this distinctive voice, horror, what's going on in Vietnam. So that's the exact horror that's going on with those kids. What they experience, what they see. They will never forget this. They will never be a part of our society. Like never. It's impossible. No drugs ever will fix this.
Drugs, counseling, trying to rehabilitate these kids at this point it's going to be next to impossible. And the government number is about 500,000, right? What's the real number? Is it 1 million? That's a lot.
If you're being raped at 5 years old, 7 years old, hundreds, thousands of times in a span of 3, 2, 4, 5 years.
And then unfortunately, as we know, the victims sometimes become the perpetrators.
Hurt people.
Yeah. So this is a multi-generational problem that happened in the last 12, 24, 36 months. And that's just the children's side of things. We have the Chinese side of things. We have the espionage side of things. How do you tackle all these problems at once? Unfortunately, I think the only way to do it is to stop the issue at the border immediately and deport everybody.
Do you think organ harvesting is a real thing, or it's just a conspiracy theory?
It's real.
How does it look like?
So my team, I have, again, it's weird for me to say that, right? Why do I have a team? I'm just this dude who lives here, wants to be left alone.
A civilian.
Yes. Just leave us alone. I have a team now. And my team is vast, skilled, and swift. They found out we haven't found where Ashley is, but within just a matter of days, we found out that she was not supposed to be here. So that same part of my team, the latest intel that they have is a 14-year-old that was smuggled to, I believe it was Tijuana, and the smugglers were paid $15,000 to get, once the kid got there, and when they got there, they were paid the $15,000 to release the kid, and they extracted the kid's left eye for organ harvesting.
That's a true story?
Yes. It's been confirmed and verified. It's happening right there, which leads me to speculate that it's probably happening here. Now, I don't have any intelligence on that, but I do have it on happening in Mexico. And it's insane for me to sit here and say this and be this conspiracy theorist, right? But it's true. It's happening. I wouldn't have these people on my team if I didn't believe them. I would let these people watch my children.
And one human being has a lot of organs.
Yeah.
2 eyes, lots of limbs.
It's a movie. The stuff that we've seen on movies for the last, I don't know, 20 years, it's all coming true.
Who are you most afraid of? Chinese, Arabs, Russians that come here illegally?
That's a good question. Let me answer that in a couple different ways. So, short term, it would be the Central and South Americans. The
Because of the crime?
crime, a lot of
They
gang
commit.
members that have come through, the potential release of prisoners that have come up here, just bad people, right? And I'm not saying all Central and South Americans are bad. It's stupid I even have to say that. But a lot of the ones that have come here for a reason, and it's not for a better legal life. It's to come here and take the American dream, not accept the American dream, I guess. So short term, those people. Long term, the Chinese. But I'm not doing any of this for me. What I've explained to people, and I already said it, I'm not really afraid of any of these people where I live. They're going to other places throughout the country, and what's happening, unfortunately, Laken Riley and a lot of these other people that are the victims of this crime are in Bible Belt areas, they're in the Midwest, they're in Colorado, they're in just random places where these people normally wouldn't have gone. Somehow they got there. Somehow they've monetized the situation. I don't know how. And then they're committing these crimes, but it's not here. It's not where I live. So I could, again, just go back to sleep and not worry about this stuff. What I'm worried about most is the Chinese, because this country will not be here, and my children will not have a country if we let this keep happening with the Chinese.
Do you think China is getting their revenge for opium wars that happened a century ago, more than a century ago? Because that was a disgrace for them.
Yeah, and that's
All the
very,
kings.
very important in their culture, right?
Yeah.
It's a good question. I haven't really thought about that. It's a very good question. I don't know.
But because what do they want eventually in the end? To control the US? They've got their vast territory right there. They don't have the oil, right? But they have some resources.
Yeah, and I don't know it goes back to what do we want? Why are we in Ukraine, right? Why are we in all these other countries? So is China doing the same thing?
Power?
I think that's what everything comes down to. I don't think it's money. I think it's power. Because most of these people at the top have more money than you and I will ever see. So why do they keep doing it? Why are they going harder? Why don't they just go sit down and have a drink by their pool?
The question is, why do those very rich people sell out America for dollars, even if they have millions upon millions?
So it could be a multitude of things, right? It could be to remain in power. It could be that China has something on them, so they have to keep going. So they did something stupid decades ago, right?
Blackmail?
Yeah. They don't have a choice. They have to play these games, like Adam Schiff going to these stupid Chinese events, right? Do they have something on him, or is he just really that dumb? How do you get elected if you're that dumb? It's not easy to get elected. Maybe it's easy to get elected as a Democrat. I'm not sure. It takes a lot of work. People have to like you. That's not a very likable dude.
Is Kamala very likable?
No.
At all?
No.
Like the most unlikable.
Correct.
And Mr. Tim Walz, same. The most unlikable person in
Yes.
America.
Yes. It's the most unlikable duo.
Yes. and they will do the interview both at the same time because she's so strong.
It's one
She's
brain.
such a strong
Total.
woman that she can't even do an interview on her own. And people still vote for her. Will vote for her.
Yeah.
Millions are going to vote.
Millions of dead people.
They don't know they're voting.
My grandpa, my dead grandfathers are going to be pissed that they vote for her.
But the U.S. was always accusing of this cheating Russia. And Russia's cheat, of course. Belarus cheat with Lukashenko, right? But if you do the same thing here, don't blame Russians or other people in doing that. Iran.
Russians have always been the easy people to blame. And we talked about it earlier. It's easy to blame. Let me back up. It's always been easy to blame Russia. And one of I was telling you about that video game I used to play, 007 GoldenEye. The bad guys were the Russians at the time. So we grew up playing against the Russians.
Yeah.
And then we go, wait a minute. They look kind of like they just want to be left alone like me. And it's just the people up at the top that are, wait a minute, it looks like they want to be left alone too.
And you know what? So Russians are so pissed that in 2022 Putin started this war, so they flee Russia and they come here to the US to be left the fuck alone.
Yeah.
Because we meet a lot of Russians. For instance, in our complex in Woodland Hills in Los Angeles, I want to say there are up to 10 families, Russian, Ukrainian, Belarus families that fled Ukraine, Russia, or Belarus and came here. Guess what? They work. Their children go to the kindergarten. They go to school. They learn English. They try to assimilate. You will never hear of them.
That's a bad word. You can't use that.
Assimilation?
Yeah.
Really?
There's a great thing that I've noticed with what's going on out here. Since I grew up here, well, let me back up. When we went to Vegas, I had a taxi driver from Belarus, and I like if I talk to somebody that speaks different or looks different than me, I always try and understand a little bit. Why not spend that 2 minutes or 5 minutes just talking to them? What's your country like? And he started quizzing me. I'm like, I don't know anything. I look really, when they show those people on like at the beach and they do those videos and they ask them questions.
Yeah.
And I looked like that. But who knows anything?
What do you think about this?
Who knows anything about Belarus anyways? So screw that guy. He goes, now I know it's Sofia, right? No, it was Bulgaria. It was Bulgaria.
Sofia.
It was
Minsk.
Yes, and Sofia, and he told us all about it. And he was going back and going. He was making money, and then he was going to go back to see his kids. And then he just kept coming, going. But what I liked was that he had assimilated to some extent. Now I didn't like he was taking his money back, but whatever. At least he has a job. And he's not robbing people, right? We could worry about that after we worry about all these other things. So the assimilation thing here, growing up here, I had friends who their parents were illegal, mostly Mexican, right? And not once did I ever think anything about it. I didn't even know what that meant. And then I'm getting older and I started to figure out what it means and I didn't care. Still didn't really mean anything to me. You know why? Because they assimilated.
They spoke the language, learned the language.
I have friends I had a friend in the army who his parents came here and assimilated too much and would not let him speak Spanish. This guy is my size. His name is, I don't know if he wants me to say his name. I won't say it. My size and full Mexican, brown as can be, and I speak more Spanish than he does. And I'm like, dude, you got to learn some Spanish. We look stupid right now. And so you can go too far in assimilation, right? What I like with a lot of my friends is that their parents assimilated but brought their culture with them. And that's what America's about. Assimilate to the majority, but don't leave your culture behind. We want that.
But bring the best of your culture.
Yes.
Like the cuisine, for instance. The dances, the music, right? The poetry. That's the best.
Yeah.
But don't come to the US and try to implement the Sharia law. Maybe that's your part of your culture, but that's not the good.
Didn't you leave that place for that reason?
Exactly.
Now it's just like when Democrat Californians go to Arizona or Montana or Idaho.
And turn it blue?
And now we can't say that we're from California. We travel anywhere because we're automatically idiots.
Did you see that meme that they want to build a fucking wall on California?
Yeah. They just leave Southern California.
No, don't do that. We live here. We love the U.S.
I think I'm far enough east where I'd be okay.
So that's crazy.
So the trend I've seen with these people firsthand is that they come across and they want everything handed to them. Now these people, these mothers that I grew up with and fathers, they went through hell to get here, and then they had their kids and raised them like we just talked about. And some of them are they're much more high achievers than I am, because they understood the price that was paid to get here. I just grew up here and I'm American and take everything for granted, right? So the people that are coming across it's just they're hands out. I'm here. What do you have to give me? And we talked about the cell phones and the money earlier. I've never seen that firsthand. I've heard a lot about it, never seen it, so I don't like to talk about things I haven't seen. I'll tell you when I'm speculating on something, but I have seen them come across multiple people, and they are not happy with the food that we've given them right when they've crossed. Send them back.
Let them eat their own food.
Yes. Like you just committed an illegal act. The very first thing you did was illegal. Now you're here, and you don't like the food? Sounds good. Go back.
It's only this kind of food right here. Go back.
I mean, I can't even think how many times I got smacked for going to the dinner table and saying I didn't like the food with my mother, right? Let alone go to another country and do it. Now, I ate a lot of horrible things when I was in Korea that I would never eat again, but I was trying to assimilate while I was there, because that's the generous thing to do when somebody's helping you or showing you their country. Or even when you invited me up, you asked if I would have a meal with you, right? I don't get it. So what is making these people or telling these people to come here that they're going to get everything for free? Because you don't just show up somewhere like that. That's not a natural instinct. It's the NGOs.
But who drives them? What drives them?
The funding comes from our government. I told you I was going to look that up, actually. I should have it right here. So San Diego Migrant Aid Organizations secure $43 million in federal funding. That just happened after we've already spent X amount of $1 million of federal funding through the county board of supervisors, who keep voting on this, keep voting yes on this to allow this to happen. So that's federal funding, not state funding. So everyone that watches your channel in any other country, any other state, should be going, wait a minute, that's my money too. But a lot of people have been saying, well, that's California, that's not our problem. It's coming to you, and it's already too late. So you need to stop it now.
So New York doesn't border with Mexico, right? But it's getting overrun by the illegal immigrants.
Yes.
Eric Adams said this last year. Stop it! You're ruining our city. Yeah. Manhattan is a pit hole. It's becoming a pit hole. It's a beautiful place. San Francisco is a beautiful place. You've got a map of feces in San Francisco.
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful cities on the planet Earth.
Yeah, San Francisco. My friend's father used to live there, and we would go visit him, and it was great. That was, I don't know, a decade and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't pay me to go there.
How can you explain me what is that? That's the same person with 3 different IDs?
Okay, so I don't actually remember that. I remember that was found in one of the chats, and they were talking about that guy, and I believe he went to jail for some kind of. He did. It was espionage in the UK. So in one of the chats that I'm in, there's actually a post in there that I pay the $3.99 a month for Telegram translation on the Telegram app,
Yes.
and it's almost real time.
It's $3.99, not $399.
Correct. It's almost real time. You'll scroll, and then it'll take a second, and then it'll change everything to English. There's obviously loss in translation there, especially with Mandarin, but for the most part, you can read it. So there's a picture of a piece of paper that says something along the lines of looking for Chinese asylum seeker for espionage, call this number. It's just right there. Now, who knows if it's real? There's an example right there of it being real.
What about those photos? What is that? Because you tend to post photos without any explanation. What is that? Those are drugs being smuggled into the US?
Let me see. Go back to the other one. Can you scroll? Oh, you took a screenshot of that. So those are potentially bundles of drugs. Those are all. They either call them gotaways, which are people that are not trying to claim asylum. They're getting away. So those people are here for nefarious reasons. So I actually have a picture of a guy who's wearing all military clothes with a military backpack, and has a military build. He's bringing these groups across right through this area that I showed you, and walking all the way into the U.S., probably 3/4 of a mile, and then telling these people where to go and circling back and then going back into Mexico. And we have him multiple days on photos doing this. Why is nobody catching this dude? Why do I have the pictures?
So if what they say is true, that Mexico is being run by a cartel, it all makes sense then.
Mexico is being run by, just like the movies, right? All the movies are coming true. We've seen in the movies that the cartel and the government work hand in hand. The next movie that'll be out someday will be how the CCP is working with the cartel, who's working with the government, the Mexican government, who's working with the NGOs. Like, wait, what? The CCP is working with the cartels,
Best friends.
working with the Mexican government, who's working with the NGOs, who's funded by the U.S. government, who's funded by you and me.
And people will say that's fiction. That's a bad movie. Maybe that's a great movie, but not in reality. It's impossible.
Yeah.
I live in LA. I don't see any immigrants. So this is all not true.
That's the problem, right? And until you see it in person, it's not real. Because you don't hear about it on the news. So how is it real? Because some guy just talks about it online? Well, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Someone told me that one of my videos was CGI. I wish I had that ability. I wouldn't be doing this if I had the money to CGI myself.
What are you most afraid of? Those sleepers? That they're gonna wake at some point of time and like do this and bam, across the states, something's gonna happen.
I guess we never talked about the people from the Middle East, right?
Yes.
So that is a massive concern. I showed you some of these over here. The Turkish passports.
And it's written Afghanistan.
They're Turkish passports, but the people are from Afghanistan. So we know, or the intelligence community knows, that there's a lot of bad actors in Turkey, and that the intelligence community knows that there are a lot of bad actors go through Turkey to get here, because it might be difficult to come here with like an Afghani passport. The crazy part is when you start going through some of these passports and seeing the stamps. Like I have one with an Iran stamp in it. You think that our government would want to know where that person is. So it has China, Iran, UAE, and back to China, and then here. It was dropped in the border.
Was it China, Iran, UAE, China, here?
Yeah. But there's nothing to see here, right?
He just likes to see places.
Yeah.
He's a tourist.
Yeah, he loves. I hear Iran is great in the. I don't know.
Well, it's great, but not because of the regime. It's very great because of the nature. They've got the sea,
maybe they have
mountains.
nice ski slopes there in the winter.
But not now.
Iranian skiing.
Not for the last 40 years. It's great.
I mean, it seems like it might be some sort of intelligence issue situation with somebody going from China to Iran to UAE, back, bringing information back to China, and then coming to the U.S. and dropping all their stuff. Now that's just speculation.
So when I fill in a visa, if I want to get a visa to the U.S., since I'm from Lithuania, right? I'm talking about my whole experience.
You're not from here?
So there are 2 points that I have to check: whether I visited Iran or I visited Cuba.
I got one of those.
And if you check those, I believe you're gonna have to get some questions asked. That's Cuba.
Yeah. Maybe she didn't visit Cuba. She lived
She
there.
lived there.
That's how.
That's the problem.
Yeah. It's funny, but that's actually a lot of this stuff is just semantics that allows a lot of these people to come in. They're just writing that line right next to legal, really illegal.
So getting back to Middle Easterns, some were shown on this list of potential terrorists, right? Not even some, but dozens of them. I want to say there is a famous video when the Middle Eastern is being asked, "Who are you?" and he says, "You're gonna find out."
Yeah, that was right. You were there today. That was here. That was in Hakumba.
And no questions to this guy, right? No questions asked. You're gonna find out. Ah, okay. When? When is going to happen? You're gonna find out.
Yeah.
That freaks me out.
And how many of those people have we lost track of? If we're losing children, we have no idea where these people are going. We're giving them a piece of paper that says you have a court date 5, 6, 7 years from now, and we expect them to show up.
So, but hear me out. So Russians, Ukrainians, Eastern Europe come here because of the war. That's one. The number two is Latin America, South America, Central America come here because of other reasons, right? Maybe asylum, maybe American dream, maybe organ harvesting, maybe drugs, fentanyl, etc. Then we've got Middle Easterns right now. And at the same time, Israel is in war with Iran. Iran hates the US. But if you have enough Iranians that don't like America at all, smugged in here in the US and just waiting for the call, that's just not only 9/11. That's 9/11 times 100.
Yeah, I agree.
With all the technology that they have now.
People, for some reason, are having a hard time grasping this, and I don't never forget. But apparently, everybody forgot.
9/11.
Yeah. If they remember, they would go, yeah, this could happen again. This happened without this immigration problem. Now, what's the number on how many millions of people have come in here now?
They say, I want to say 15.
15. So that's government numbers. Let's say it's 20. So, I mean, if 1% are bad, that's still a lot more than we're here on September 11th.
That's anarchy.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen on November 5th if Trump gets elected, and if he's not getting elected?
We can even back up a little bit before that. But the numbers have started picking up out here, people crossing, and one of my sources this morning told me a lot of Indians are crossing through this area, which is kind of unusual. I mean, it's not that unusual. Here's one right here. But there are more Indians than usual. So between now and the election, I think things are going to just pick up rapidly because people will worry. And so this is speculation / I've seen in some of the chats here, people talking about if Trump gets elected, they're going to deport us all of this stuff. So they are worried that Trump will do something drastic, so they need to get in now while they can. I mean, I have to believe one of his first actions is going to be go back to the remain in Mexico policy, where they can't come here for asylum; they have to stay there for asylum. So then, what's going to happen on election day? I have no idea. If we go back to the riots that happened in La Mesa, here in San Diego, and after the election when Trump got elected previously, we saw a massive uptick in gun sales. Now, people would go, well, wait, Trump got elected, so why are people buying guns? Because in California, people usually buy guns when Democrats get elected because they're afraid of the potential laws that may come down and to stop people from buying guns. Very common. So I'm going, well, why are so many people coming in buying guns when Trump just got elected? I don't think we have much to worry about, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that's when all the riots were happening. So people were buying guns like crazy.
To protect themselves.
To protect themselves. Guns and ammo. So then when Biden got elected, I'm going, man, people are going to buy guns like crazy. Like, what is... No, it didn't happen. All those people already bought their guns. The left wasn't coming in buying guns. It should have been the right after Biden got elected, but it was not what we thought. I mean, there was a bump and nothing that we thought. So what's going to happen if Trump gets elected? I think it's going to be chaos for the first month or two.
Month or two?
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to burn down the cities like they did during the BLM?
I think so.
Just move out of the big major cities?
I think they'll do like what they did in Seattle and some of these other places, especially the liberal cities where they could just take over. Was it the autonomous zone, right? They can just take over and they're going to let them do that. I mean, try to do that in Oklahoma, not going to happen. San Diego, it might. So the unincorporated areas out here wouldn't happen. I mean, it could happen, but it would be shut down real quick. It will most likely happen in liberal cities and because of their policies. They don't want cops, get rid of the police, let everybody do what they want. That's what's going to happen. You reap what you sow.
If Kamala wins, in 4 years, country's going to be destroyed?
Probably.
She's now saying that she's going to build the wall.
After we had the stuff to build the wall, we started building the wall. Biden got elected. We sold the stuff back to the company. Now we're going to buy it back again.
But can you fix the situation that you are already in with 15 million immigrants? Let's say 1% is only 1% is bad people. Can you find them? Or no. You will find out when they do something, when they commit crime, when it's too late, when Laken Riley is being murdered, or someone's daughter is being raped, then they find him and they deport him. How to prevent this shit?
I mean, I have 2 kids. That's too late. I'm not waiting that long. No father should wait that long. Should have to wait that long for something to happen. The solution, unfortunately, is you got to deport everybody. I would go after these NGOs. I would start at the top. If it were me, it would start at the top. I would replace CIA, FBI, all of those people. There's still a bunch of people in there. It's easy to say that I would do all these things. Now, if you could do them, that's a different story. Anyone that has any brass on them, I would fire them. Anywhere. Border Patrol, any Homeland Security, FBI, CIA, they're all fired. Because they're allowing this stuff to happen. You must be on the other side. You must be against this country if you're allowing it to happen. You've watched it. How long? You have people like me doing this. People are getting paid 6 figures to go do this and protect our country with our tax dollars. And they are not doing it, but I'm paying to do this. Taking time away from my family to do this. That's not going to last. There's other people doing it as well. Some people are very outspoken. Some people are quiet. So there's a massive amount of intelligence that our intelligence agencies are missing by not talking to us. One thing I've noticed is we have task force for everything in this country: child trafficking task force, like narcotics task force, tunnel task force. I don't think we ever anticipated this problem, and I don't think, I may be wrong, that there's a task force for this problem, which is why all of the three-letter agencies that I've spoken to don't know what to do with any of this stuff.
Then who knows? Civilians? Veterans?
I don't know. I don't know I don't know who knows. I think a lot of these people have been neutered. A lot of the boots on the ground people, men and women, have been neutered to not know, to look the other way. And the brass, the people in charge that are allowing them to do that, it's, we took a very similar oath, people in law enforcement, people in the military. And I think that everybody needs to go back to that oath. It's like when you're talking with your kid, hey, let's start from the beginning, because apparently we got stupid somewhere in there. So let's start over here. No, I don't say that to my kids, but I would say that to someone I worked with. And then we start over. We got to do that. This is our job. We protect the border. If we don't, we get fired. If we do stupid things, we go to prison. And I think we just need to go back to the basics.
Just go back to the Constitution.
Yeah, in order to protect the country. The founding fathers put a document together that's a masterpiece. Who knows if it'll ever be better than that? It worked for a long time. Let's just go back to what worked.
And no other country in the world has anything even similar to that.
No, a lot of countries have tried to mimic, or pick some stuff out and go along with what we've been doing, but we've strayed so far away. I mean, that's all, we could talk about that for hours, right? We just need to go back to the basics.
So Pope Francis, a few days ago, he said, that's a quote, "We must say it clearly. There are those who work systemically and with every means to reject migrants. And this, when done with conscience and responsibility, is a grave sin. I haven't seen any homeless in the Vatican. Any. There is a wall if you want to get out to the Vatican. But he wants you and Europe and my country to invite illegal immigrants that do not want to assimilate. They want to rape, kill, murder, shit on the streets, masturbate on the streets. There are multiple videos on X. They come from Pakistan. They just masturbate on the street.
Pope Francis is what religion?
Christianity, Catholic.
Catholic. And what's one of the big NGOs?
How is it called?
Catholic Charities. Who's funded by the U.S. government. So the U.S. government is funding Catholic Charities that's funding the Vatican. Follow the money. I'd say a lot of stupid shit too if I was making hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. I don't know how people fall into this. So how do they listen to this guy? Are you a religious person? Do you believe in God?
Yes. I mean, I did like when he said dogs go to heaven. I like to think my dogs will be there with me.
So if you want to talk to God, you don't need any middleman.
No.
None. You talk to God.
Talk to him right now.
Whenever you want. You're driving, you're working out, you're shooting your gun. It doesn't matter. You talk to God. But they have to have this middle guy that says them what to do.
And there are some religions that we could chastise probably for some of really abhorrent stuff they do, but we are in America. That stuff, some of that stuff shouldn't be legal, Sharia law, right? But if your religion is peaceful for the most part, no, we say peaceful religion, we automatically think of one that's not so peaceful. We're in America.
Because of the track record.
Do whatever you want, be whatever you want. Just leave me alone. Leave my family alone. Right? You want to be Catholic? Be Catholic. I have nothing against that. I'm not going to sit in my car on my 45-minute drive and go, man, I can't believe all those people listen to that guy. I've got more important things to worry about. I'll still be friends with that person.
Yeah,
He's just different than me.
Don't work against the country
Exactly.
that let you in.
Exactly. And
America owes me nothing. I owe America.
Exactly. Yeah. Same. We all do. I mean, I owe my mother and my father, and I owe my country.
Let's have two assumptions. So, assumption number one is President of the United States, his position, he is the most powerful human being on planet Earth. Assumption number two, you become one. You become the president of the US. Once you do so, you have this Secret Service at your disposal. They come to you and say, congratulations, we love you, we respect you, you're the president now. We as the Secret Service know all the answers in the world. You ask us, we give you an honest answer. What would be your first question? What do you want to know in the first place?
There's lots of historical questions that I would want to ask. How many questions do I get?
Unlimited. But this is the first one. I want to hear the first one. Because this is the most important I want to say.
Where's the money coming from? Who's funding this stuff?
This stuff?
Yeah. Because we have to stop this immediately. If you're saying I become president today, I need to know. Because that's the first thing I do. Shut it down.
Okay, so they give you an answer. You as a president, do you expose it to the public?
Yes.
Right away?
Immediately.
You're not afraid of the casualties?
In what regard?
Possible chaos?
No, the country needs to know who's against them. The people need to know who's against them.
Okay, let's say you get an answer, the enemy is within. You still expose it?
Yes.
Why do you think Epstein list is not being exposed yet?
I think they're hiding something a lot bigger. And I don't know what that is. It could be the child trafficking thing. It seems like that's the direction it goes a lot of the time. Trump went there. So, that kind of muddies the water a lot. Now, you could think of that in a few different ways here. You could think of that island as some child trafficking sex island that's just 24/7, right? Or you could think about it that those things only happened when Epstein was there and he had the stuff with him, the kids with him, or he had friends that had kids with him. And then sometimes he would say, hey, Apollo, you want to use my island for the weekend? It's all yours. And there's nothing there, just the caretakers and I would like to believe that's the case. Because rich people do things like that.
That's not likely.
Not likely. But then that puts Trump in a pretty awkward spot.
But if he was on that list would be exposed a long time ago. They can't find shit on Trump. He's the Teflon Don. It doesn't stick.
So, why hasn't it been exposed? I mean, there's got to be a reason, just like the emails and everything else, that if it were you and me and we were getting served and the government was knocking down the door, they would be able to get all the stuff that they need. But for some reason, magically, nothing ever comes up when we're looking into these other things.
Just imagine if on that list you have, for instance, 100, 200 last names, musicians, world-known musicians, athletes, Hollywood actors. These are the persons that are supposed to be pedophiles. If you expose this list, how could regular people feel when they watch this actor for 20, 30, 40 years and he's a pedophile now for a few decades? And there are 200 names? That would cause chaos. All their idols would fall right away. This athlete, I've been looking up to this athlete. I wanted to be like this guy when I was a kid. And he's a pedophile?
It goes back to why are you idolizing people?
Bingo.
That's the easy answer for me. Now, as a kid, I idolized Tony Gwynn, right? You're a kid. You look up to people. You grow up. You can handle it. Release the list. Now, do you want to know something absolutely insane? And I encourage everyone that listens to look this up themselves. Where we were today, there's a piece of land out there. It's probably 50 acres, maybe more, around there. I don't remember. Are you ready? Guess who owns that? It's right where the border wall ends.
Who?
P. Diddy's head of security.
How do you know that?
Found it. There's a hunting app called OnX, and it shows you the owners of property. That's in one of my Instagram posts that we talked about. You saw I talked about one of the property owners. I had been wondering about this property for so long, and someone on my team started looking into it. He gave that land to his kid. He was actually on the news. I think it was Channel 7 here locally a few years ago. There's a little lake, a pond on the property. But what did P. Diddy potentially just get in trouble for? Trafficking? And then you're going to tell me that P. Diddy's head of security owns the land where the wall ends, where people could just walk around? I guess I won't speculate any further than that because it would just be speculation. I have no proof of anything. It seems very unusual to me.
But
He was also the last person in the room with Michael Jackson.
But it seems like people already forgot about P. Diddy. It was only 4 months ago, right?
Yeah, because
His houses were raided. Like, forget about it. Nothing's there. Nothing to see.
Mm-hmm. And what if
the guy's still not in the U.S. He's somewhere hiding in the Bahamas, somewhere.
So just none of this stuff is adding up, and it goes back to a lot of the people that people are idolizing, and people on that list. Yeah, I don't know if they aren't exposing it because it would cause chaos. I don't think that anybody cares about that.
Because they would expose their own last names.
Or the people they're hanging out with.
Yeah. This is my best friend, Billy. And Billy is a pedophile for 40 years.
You know, there's a comedian, Cat Williams, who would not touch that dude. And then there's videos of him and people going like, yeah, you know, they don't want to sit next to him. He's a little creepy. I don't know. But then you also have people that are partying with him and videos, and it would ruin their careers. So what's the country worth? One person's career? 20 people's careers?
Fuck those guys.
I don't care if it's all
if they molested the kids, they have to be hanged.
Yes.
Publicly.
Yes.
You believe in God, right?
Yes.
Do you think we as a humanity, or we as a society, right? Do you think we're going to be judged on what's happening now, especially with the kids?
Absolutely.
We're screwed.
No. I don't think so. I'm doing something about it. Now, I get that people have jobs and they don't live here and they might not be able to help. There's other ways to help. There's other ways. It's very easy to forget about this stuff. Your listeners, some of them will forget about it a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. It'll still be going on. Yeah, it'll still be going on. If Trump wins, it doesn't matter who the next president is. It doesn't matter if they shut the border down and let no one across. This is still going to happen. And there's still 500,000 kids missing. So it's not going to stop. We need to do something about it. We may be judged about this whole issue, but do something about it. Maybe it's just voting correctly. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But I'm very close to it, and I can't watch it happen, especially with 2 little kids.
Have you ever had a thought to back down?
No. I think I moved out here for a reason. I think there's too many coincidences that have put me in this position that I don't want to be in, and connected me with the groups of people that I do like to be around. You know, I would rather us just be hanging out doing nothing. But I think God has put me with a group of people that aren't going to back down. And I mean, some of these people are active duty military. Some of these people are active duty federal agents, state, local agents, Mexican military. How did I make these connections? It's not a coincidence.
Right people meet right people.
I'm not that cool. Don't tell my wife.
What's the most heinous story you've experienced or seen or heard that was the real story? Not from the news, not from Twitter.
I mean, that eyeball one's pretty bad.
You don't know the result, right?
No. No. Heinous stories that I've heard. The rape trees are horrible. Horrible.
And those are not just women, those are kids, teenagers being raped.
And men
Men,
get raped. People often forget that men can be raped too. They just don't talk about it.
who are those people that they do that?
They should be hanged, like you said. Caught in the act, and you just hang them right there. But we live in a country where we have rules and regulations, and I agree that's the best way to go. It got us this far.
Some states do have death penalties.
Mm-hmm.
Florida is about to legalize death penalty for child molesters.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other answer. I don't want to waste my money rehabilitating them.
You can't change that man. I believe you can't. You can't change him. That's it. He is who he is. Even if you physically castrate him, right? Even if he physically doesn't have a penis, he can make heinous acts with just his own hands, fingers, objects. It doesn't matter. They won't stop. It's impossible.
And it's a waste of money for us to try and get them to stop. You know, the Philippines a few years ago, I don't know if they still do it, they were killing drug dealers, just like low-level drug dealers, to set a precedent. We need to start setting some precedents around here. You're not going to do this anymore. And some mayors have done that locally. And I wish the county board of supervisors would step up and do that. Now, we could talk about politics all day long, but when kids are involved, it should be pretty bipartisan. Unfortunately, it's not. And I don't understand why. I wish that they would come see this stuff or acknowledge it even exists, but they don't.
Cory, so in the 1960s, only you could work and you could provide for your family, right? You could afford a house, a car, school, food on the table, maybe some kind of a vacation, maybe state-wise, maybe country-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Only one working dad. So now both of you have to work, maybe even multiple jobs, and even when you go home from a job or a second job, you have to worry about your kids at school because they're being taught how to do a blowjob, boy to a boy, girl to a boy, and etc. Literally, because of the textbooks, because of the agenda, because of the cult, the religion that they propagate right there in the school. So a regular human being, regular American, is being just fucked physically, mentally, financially by all these organizations.
So you're living paycheck to paycheck, trying to raise your kid through the school system, and they're doing that in the school system, and then you hear that your kid's bus was almost boarded by a bunch of illegal aliens. You can't take a day off of work because you're living paycheck to paycheck. So what do you do?
Or you find out that your daughter wants to get transitioned, and she's on the pill for the last 6 months, and you just find out it now.
Yeah. So you have to do what we do, which is live paycheck to paycheck, but put them in private school, which not everyone can afford. I mean, we can't afford it. But we're doing this for my kids, and we're giving them an education Basically the same education that I got. They weren't doing this, although they didn't like the Russians. They weren't doing this when I was in school, but it was, I don't know what people are supposed to do. So essentially I'm paying twice. So I'm paying my taxes for a free education, right? And then I'm paying for private school at the same time.
So you're paying so some kid would know how to do a blowjob, or that he can be a boy or a girl, or trans or semi. There's a new term, I don't know whether you heard it or not, semi-bisexual.
I think I saw one of those on the freeway. Semi-bicycle? What?
Semi-bisexual. So bisexual means you're attracted to two genders. Semi means half.
I don't know if I want to know
you're just heterosexual.
On one half of your body? Is it the upper half or the lower half?
I don't know. I've never met those guys and gals.
So why can't we just go back to, I don't care
Maybe
what
it's
you
boring.
do at home.
It's too boring, bro.
I don't care what you do at home. Just leave me alone.
And my kids alone.
Yeah. You do whatever you want at home. As long as it doesn't involve kids.
Yes.
I don't care.
Do it with yourself.
Yeah.
Not even with your own kids.
Yes.
Leave even your kids alone. Don't do those horrible stuff to the kids.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know why the Democrats can't even agree on that. Don't they want to be left alone too? Or do they like being controlled and being told what to do and live in a utopian environment?
That's half a country. That's half a
I don't
country.
know if it is. We kind of discussed it earlier. I think, if I remember correctly, only 30% of Republicans voted.
Mm-hmm.
So 70% didn't. And then how many Democrat ballots were fake, dead, whatever the case may be. So we throw those out, and then we have all these Republicans who don't vote, then I don't think it's half the country. I've never met anyone. And obviously I'm in a circle of like-minded people, and I try and venture out. I'm not going to gay bars or anything, but I'll talk to anybody. I don't care. My business partner makes fun of me because he says that I'll talk to a stop sign. Okay? I'm trying to get more business. So
where are you from, bro?
I don't care. Like, if I'm just standing there, I'll talk to you. If you want to talk to me, great. I will leave you alone. So I've never met anyone that agrees with any of this shit. I don't know where these people are. I mean, I see them on TV sometimes.
They're hiding in the basement and they're campaigning from the basement. They don't do interviews. They're not telling about their platform and about their future policies. They're going to tell you about the policies once you elect them.
How many of those people could there be? I don't get it. I mean, we've seen in this state in the last 6 months or so, we've seen some Democrats flip. I think there was one in the House. And they're just like, yeah, man, we're going way too far.
How about this woman, the Democrat, that just said, I'm done. I can't with all these children.
Just leave the kids alone.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. And maybe we don't agree on some taxes, right? We talk about that all day long. Or we don't agree on foreign policy. Let's just go back to that.
Those are great debates, actually.
Yeah, they are. And I might be wrong on some things. I would like to bring all of our money back here. Maybe I don't know if we trust the CIA in this fictitious scenario. Let's say we do. Maybe we have little outposts all over the place and we're just listening in, making sure September 11th doesn't happen again. We don't need full-blown military there. When I was in Korea, they didn't really want us there. I don't think they understood that if we left, their economy would probably tank for multiple reasons. But a lot of countries don't want us there. And after World War II, we went into a lot of countries and stayed there. Mm-hmm. If we took all this money back home and focused on special operations around the world, we would probably do a lot better. Now, I'm not saying we go in and kill people in other countries just for the fun of it, but we probably need to have some kind of presence and make sure we know what's going on before it gets to us. But I think it's a small presence. And maybe we start here with fixing the potholes.
So in 1945, you defeated the great evil. Then in 1991, when the USSR collapsed, you defeated another great evil, which was communism, right? But now you try to become one. You try to become a communist country.
Maybe in the 2000s, communism works.
Yeah, sure.
It'll be a new book.
Yeah, sure. Amazing book. How the US failed
Yeah.
and killed like dozens of millions of their own people
Yeah.
because communism do this all the time. Chinese, Khmer Rouge, Russians, Soviets, they did the same thing. They're killing their own people.
I mean, most of us learned with a lot of the same history books, and communism was never a winner. Now, it was the government telling us that, but I think a lot of us can think for ourselves now and go, hey, communism doesn't work.
Read the books.
Yeah. Or read different books about communism. Just, it doesn't work. It's not going to work unless you are, the guy. But still, someone's going to try and take your spot all the time.
And not only communism doesn't work, socialism doesn't work as well. Take a look at Argentina. 100 years ago, one of the most prosperous country in the world. Then socialists arrived and for the last 60 years destroyed the country.
A loaf of bread is like $100.
Yeah.
They're eating cats.
Yes. Inflation is like hundreds of percent every month. Up.
With the technology that we have today and social media, it is insane to me that people can't look at some of the things that are going on and change their mind about policy. It's insane. You just saw it.
Yeah. Or you had this policy for 4 years.
Yeah.
Do you want it to be for more years? Or do you want to switch it?
A lot of people will say, well, the Republicans had a chance in Congress to stop this problem.
I believe Roe versus Wade, that's what cost them the House. That was supposed to be a red wave. It didn't happen because of because Roe versus Wade.
What about all the pork that was in that bill that they were trying to pass? There was all kinds of other things in the immigration bill, not just immigration. When we have a singular large problem, I believe there should be nothing else in that bill.
Yes. Well, bro, once again, so in 2018, Putin has changed the constitution, but he did it very wisely, right? So he had 3 terms and he changed the constitution, but on the ballot was whether you against or for the change of constitution. But there wasn't only one point whether I can, as a Putin, I can be president for 3 more terms, I want to say. Yeah, 3 more terms, 6 years each. But there were, are you for gay marriages in Russia? Of course not. Are you for gays getting adopted children? Of course not.
Wait, Russians are bigots?
Yes. So like 10 points, and one of them was whether you want the Russian president Putin to run for 3 more times.
Yeah.
That's what he did, and he was bashed for this. How can he do that? You do the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's protect the border. Wait a minute. So we want to protect the border, but at the same time, we're going to send dozens of millions of dollars to the Ukraine. If you sign,
Yeah. If something that maybe it should be a dollar amount, since that's what everybody's so focused on, right? If something is over X amount, it has to be singular. There could be nothing else in that bill. That's it.
Yeah.
Because if it's a large amount of money, it's a big issue with the wall. We just go with California, this tunnel thing that they're doing. If it's a big enough financial issue burden for the state, then there should be nothing else in there. Because realistically, the people are not educated on this stuff. Now, I don't want to say they're stupid. I don't want to say they're ignorant. Yes, it's true in a lot of cases, but I'm stupid and ignorant to some of this. Some of the stuff is so confusing.
They're busy working 2 jobs.
A bill should be written so a layman can read it.
Yes.
That's it.
Should we send X amount of dollars to this and this and that?
And then there should be legalese behind it. But in California, they've changed it so the propositions are worded in a way which yes means no, no means yes. Now you actually have to be paying attention and reading it to vote correctly. Now, let's say I'm a working mother and I get home and I have 2 or 3 kids and they're screaming and fighting and I'm trying to make dinner and I'm trying to vote at the same time. That's the level that the ballots should be written.
Yes.
I'm not saying working mothers are stupid.
They're just busy.
They're busy. And it should be that simple. Like, should we vote, or should we allocate this amount of money to securing our southern border? Yes. And then the next 50 pages shows how they're going to, because some people want to read that.
Yeah.
The terms and conditions, right?
Yeah. Someone does that. Cory, thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
I hope that California changes in a good way. I hope it's going to bring changes to the whole country. I hope those sleepers will never wake up. I hope those Chinese that came from Mexico that we hear, that we see their IDs right there, they're just like, they're going to wake up one day and think of, damn, that's an amazing country. I'm in California, maybe. That's an amazing state. I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do. Fuck you, China.
Yeah.
Fuck you, communists. I'm going to live here. I'm going to pay taxes. I'm going to have my family here. That's it. I just hope all of them, they're going to wake the hell up. God bless you.
You as well. Thank you for having me.
From the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank you for watching this whole episode. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. Leave a comment below and share this episode with your friends, peers, and loved ones. May God, Jesus Christ, bless you and your whole family.